So we took a little break from our Godzilla project this weekend and took a day to tear this apart. And 2003 6.0 diesel that we're going to be building. We have a lot of aftermarket parts we're going to be using on it. Looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like crap on the outside. They always do, but the inside looks good. Knocked the cam bearings out of it. It didn't knock the galley plugs out. We'll let Hans do that, but we're going to have them tank it, bore it. We'll go 20 over. Not sure what we're going to be doing with the deck. I don't know if we're going to cut the deck at all. I think I already talked about that. We'll clean it up before we send it, and I'll kind of make a decision there. We'll see what we have to work with. Sometimes they clean up real nice. Anyway, took some initial measurements off of our crankshaft here. Looks good. We'll polish it. There's plenty of meat left on it. Really nice crankshaft. Bearings laid out in order. I mean, they all look good. Consistent wear on them. You know, all the wear is in the same spot, top and bottom. Same deal on the rod bearings. They all have consistent, you know, I mean, they almost look identical, all of them. So on the rods, the last set of reconditioned rods I bought, I sent back because, you know, let's not even go there. I'm going to check we'll measure the new pins and then we'll measure the inside diameter of the bushing. But what really I'm looking for here is I want to see if we can, if we have any movement in them, you know, rock them side to side and then twist them. These are really tight. I mean, I've seen them a lot worse than that to where, you know, you're not going to use them. They're really a heavy duty, um, you know, durable bushing that they have in there. So if you can, you know, get away with using them, use them. Of course, you're going to check them for concentricity with the bearing out, and then you're going to straight edge them to make sure they're not bent. I mean, generally they're going to bend, you know, they're going to bend this way if they are bent. So you're going to pick that up when you straight edge them. But you're also going to see it in the cylinder wear, and the cylinder wear is pretty consistent on this. I mean, it would really show up, and they become a flail mower inside the engine if you know they have a pretty short limit on these, you know, as to how far you can bend them on a powdered metal rod, especially with you know, these types of loading that they have on them, you know, in a diesel engine. But anyway, got a set of Johnson lifters. Never used them. They did send a bag of push rods, which might be a little optimistic. So we're going to use an aftermarket camshaft in this. I don't have the specs on it because I didn't open the tube that it came in. I'm assuming there'll be a card in there, or I might have to go online and see if I can find that. But anyway, we'll clay the top of the pistons, and we're going to size the push rods. You know, make sure we hit our target, plus or minus 10 thousandths, 35 thousandths of preload, which is significantly less than the OE lifter. Lifters are a little bit longer, and the plunger is a little bit deeper. So we'll just have to see how that comes out. But main thing we want to do is we want to check the piston to valve clearance and make sure that you know, we have plenty of clearance. Probably shoot for, I mean, a minimum of 80 thousandths on the intake and 100 thousandths on the exhaust, because of course, you know, the theory is that they get hot, they're gonna grow a little bit more. We have O-ringed heads from Kill Devil. I actually talked to them because I haven't used them, you know, before, and he said there's no problem. You know, they're reusable, so I'll probably use a nice clean used gasket when I bolt them on because they're gonna have to come back off. And anyway, we'll do all that. It'll be fun. This will turn out to be a nice motor, and we're gonna know our piston to valve clearance, and we're gonna also know our glow plug clearance because injector I'm not worried about, but glow plug, it does hang down there, and it could potentially get hit. It could hit the crown and the top of the piston, especially when you start taking. I think the last one of these blocks we decked was 3 thousandths, and I mean that's not a lot, you know, but you add that to the inconsistency in the thickness of the cylinder heads. I mean, I've seen them. Usually, the average are going to come in 3.7440 is about average, somewhere around in there. 37400, which is the top of the spec, but I've seen them all over the place. And this particular set of heads that I have are they're 3.7620. So all of that is going to add up. And so the thicker the head is, of course, the further away that the rocker carrier and the fulcrum on the rocker arm is going to be up from the lifter. So that's all, and if you start machining the head, of course, you're going to bring that a little closer. And we're just talking thousands here, but when you don't have a lot of piston to valve clearance, you know, you want to make sure that your valve train geometry is consistent and within the spec of the manufacturer, because we don't want to have any issues with this, especially since it may get run a little hard. Yeah, you can buy some really expensive aftermarket rods, but basically this is just going to be a driver. So we're going for longevity, and like I said, you look at those bearings; they have a lot of life left in them. I don't see any copper showing anywhere. I mean, we're kind of getting thin on the first one there in line, but this thing would have went a long time. It had a lot more miles in it, but blue head gasket, so they basically ripped it out and tore it down to the short block, and then it showed up here. So anyway, we're going to do a good job on it. We're going to do a bunch of math and calculations, and it should be a lot of fun.